Hi. The film I will be talking about today is The Night of the Hunter. This film was directed by Charles Laughton and stars Robert Mitchum, Shelley and Lillian Gish. This really is a perfect film. It was underappreciated when it came out, and unfortunately because of that, Charles Laughton, who had won an Academy Award as an actor, also had won a Grammy, celebrated in that field, never made another film. And we as the viewers missed out. This is truly the work of a genius. It is so sad that this is all we have. Yet at the same time, so grateful that we have it. It's so good that you almost understand how it was a flop when it came out in 1955. People weren't ready for it. Nobody knew how to categorize it. Nobody knew what they were seeing. It was one of those that, as they say, is ahead of its time. And when you look at the talent that surrounds this film, Charles Laughton is director, James Agee is the screenwriter, Robert Mitchum, Lillian Gish, who's worked with D.W. Griffith, one of the great silent film stars, Shelley Winters, with all that talent. However, we also know that sometimes films can have a lot of talent and collapse. As they say, all those pearls, no necklace. That was not the case with this film. This is the best horror film I've ever seen, period. A lot of people that I've talked to in the past just think that I hate that genre, and I don't. I hate crap. And that's usually what comes down the pike in the horror film. Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy vs. Jason, Alien vs. Predator, Saw, Paranormal Activity, all that stuff. The last Halloween movie that came out, they're all just different versions of garbage. They're all bad in their own way. This shows that a horror film can be made and made well. And reminds us, or at least reminded me, of why those films that I just mentioned, not only do I not enjoy them, they offend me. And some people would say, that sounds very elitist. Who are you to say that? I think it was John Simon that said, what's wrong with preferring caviar to crap? I agree. Once you've seen this, even people who may have enjoyed those films before, when you see this, it would be hard to go watch another film like that and not feel that they not only insulted your intelligence, they assaulted it. And that's how I feel when I see those. And that's why seeing this is such an enriching experience. This is not only, I think, the best horror film, this is the most beautiful black and white film I've ever seen. It has a beauty that is peculiar, disturbing, hypnotizing, all at once. It takes us into this weird dream world. And then what's so great is we have James Agee's writing that centers it, that gives it that realism in this surreal world that is created. Every shot in this film is, every time I think that they can't outdo it, I see another shot, and each shot would make such a beautiful postcard. And knowing that this is Laughton's first film, how did he pull this off when other directors who've been doing the same kind of work forever have never even come close to scratching the surface? So many things are shot in silhouette. The angles in the house, the shots of the stars at night. It has this whimsical, mystical kind of appeal that just kind of, you're transported out of the world that you're in as a viewer and into that one. And it took me back to as a kid when you'd read those kind of books that weren't really released when I was a kid, but that maybe my mom or my that took you to a dream-like place, a fantasy land that it allowed you to slip into. The kind when you're a kid and you look out at the moonlight and you might kind of be imagining what's going on out there. This world takes you to that, this film takes you to that dream-like place. And anybody who ever would want to go into filmmaking, this is the film that they need to see. And then James Agee, who wrote the screenplay, who was a journalist, who was a poet, was a novelist, also a critic. You're dealing with, they called him the sovereign prince of the English language, and you see why. He wrote a book, Let Us Now Praise Famous Men. Another one, the name escaped, Death in the Family. He won the Pulitzer. He is a treasure. If you love literature, do yourself a favor, read some of his books. And the line in this film, I believe it was, this is a harsh world for small things, or for little things. That kind of profound simplicity that writers like him understand, that never get self-indulgent with the pen, that really understand that whole minimalist theory of less is more. You don't have to dress it up, just say it straight. And a lot of the time when people try to go too far, I don't think they know how to say it that straight, that eloquent, and still remain simplistic. You can be both. And a lot of writers have not wanted to figure, or have been unable to figure that out. And they almost want to show us just how, lyrical, how imaginative, how they can really write a beautiful sentence. And it almost is like watching a singer, like, we get it, we know you can hit those notes, but don't get lost in trying to prove yourself where it almost becomes self-indulgent and less for us, the audience, and just singing the song. Don't get lost trying to prove a point. This film is about a minister played by Robert Mitchum, who claims to be a man of God, and he's got love and hate on one, hate on the other. And he is this diabolical man who's morally bankrupt, unrepentant, has no redeemable qualities, and is completely at home with himself and okay with that. And for Robert Mitchum to take on this part, to play a character that, as I said earlier, zero redeemable qualities, evil in every way you can be evil. And for Mitchum to take that on, this big barrel-chested leading man, I don't think John Wayne would. Even when John Wayne played a dark character, at the end of the film, the better angels of his nature prevailed in the end. Mitchum doesn't do that. And I had been a big Robert Mitchum fan before I'd even seen this film. I remember seeing films like Cape Fear and Thunder Road. And Mitchum had this cool ease about him. This kind of thing that your eyes go to him, this charisma that's hard to put into words. And he has that here. He doesn't overact. I don't think he's capable of overacting. And he was such a mysterious man. Larry King said it was his worst interview. By the time the interview was over, he had asked Robert Mitchum what he'd had for breakfast, because Robert Mitchum was just giving him one-word answers. And supposedly at the end of the interview, he looked at Larry King and said, "How did I do?" So he was very aware of his image, very protective of it, and did a masterful job cultivating it, protecting it, and enhancing it. And this film starts off with, we see him going down the highway, and we're then taken to this world with these little kids who see their dad get arrested after he's robbed a bank and supposedly killed some people, and he gives the boy the money and says, hide this, don't let anybody know about it, but here's the money. The father is then taken away in front of his son, and Mitchum ends up getting arrested. He plays Harry Powell in the film, and he and the boy's father are cellmates. And he finds out about that money, and he tracks that man's family down. And then he pursues Shelley Winters and does this con job on her. And the boy can see him from a mile away. He knows what's going on. And the boy's father was executed for what he had done for the people that he had killed in the bank robbery. And Mitchum appears as though, like he was a dear friend of mine and I wanted to come by and see you too. And he's conning them and doing an amazing job of it. But it doesn't work on the little boy. And eventually, he starts to pursue the boy in the scenes with he and the child. And the child sees the evil that is there. And what makes it all the more terrifying, he also knows that his mother can't see it. And he's just a kid. It's there, but what can he do? And he knows that his mother is buying into the act. Eventually, I'm going to kind of jump ahead, Mitchum ends up killing the mother, puts her in a Model T and kind of has it go to the bottom of the lake. The scene of her underwater, her hair up like it, is such an amazing shot. That shot alone would be the best shot in most films. However, in this one, it's one of many. The kids then eventually escape from him. And the scenes where they go down the river in the John boat, it's just like a Huck Finn thing. The way that Laughton captures the nature, the owls, the frog, a turtle, them going down, the stars up above at night. It's part of what I was worried about when I did this review is I'm not going to be able to do it justice with talking how aesthetically beautiful it is and how it's shot. It is just so breathtaking. And each time you think he's topped himself, he does it again. And they eventually at this point come into contact with Lillian Gish, who takes care of kids like them and takes them in. And then eventually, Mitchum tracks them down. And it's at this point that when he shows up, the boy says, "Listen, this is not my father." And she realizes that, and now he has a protector. She gets the gun. And the scenes of her staying up at night, protecting the children, sitting in the rocking chair. Lillian Gish is so good in this film and brought so much to this film because she was able to kind of give Laughton advice because she'd worked with one of the all-time greats, D.W. Griffith. Certain directors today will have a certain relationship like Scorsese does with De Niro or, whoever it may be. Now Scorsese works with Leonardo DiCaprio a lot, but Hitchcock had it with Grace Kelly. What Hitchcock had with somebody like Grace Kelly, D.W. Griffith had with Lillian Gish. And seeing her in this film, someone who's best known as a silent film star, in a film of this magnitude, she still has at that advanced stage a charisma that comes through on screen. This old woman, you don't doubt for 1 second that she's not a protector of these children and that she's not up to the task. And eventually he makes his way in, she fires the gun, and he kind of goes off, and the authorities come and take him, and they go to trial. The boy can't stand to testify against him. We know that he's no longer going to be able to get to them, and it ends with a beautiful shot of them at home at Christmas time, and it's snowing outside. And even though I've given you the film, I don't even feel like I've gotten started so far being able to properly give it its due. The plot might sound kind of plain, like, okay, he's there, he goes to the... It's not. This is executed beautifully. And I really wanted to talk about this film today. I saw that they're making some other Spider-Man movie. How many times can we tell a story about Spider-Man? Whatever happened to original stories? Whatever happened to movie stars that were willing to be in films with an original plot, with something that wasn't generic, with something that would make the audience think? Where did that go? Everybody wants the safe bet. Well, they know people love Spider-Man. They know people love slasher films. They love zombies. They love The Walking Dead. They love seeing blood shoot out. They love all that. And that's what we're being given now. I say do yourself a favor. Go to a bar, go wherever you can. Buy this DVD. The booklet that comes along with it, there's a second DVD where you get to see outtakes. You get to hear the director talking with the actors and actresses. And it reminds you of how powerful film can be when it's in the hands of a real artist and when they don't shortchange us. And how now a lot of the audience out there, they not only accept being shortchanged, they almost seem to demand it. And the thing, this is not a film that's going to take up your day. It's like an hour, 30 minutes. So this is not like a 2-3 hour endeavor. I highly, highly suggest you not only watch this film, this is one where you go ahead and get the Criterion DVD. It's that good. And once you see this, I then think you're going to want to do a deep dive into somebody like James Agee, Robert Mitchum. It will open up so many more doors when you see it. You know, you can then go read one of Agee's books. You can see more of Mitchum's film. And if you've never seen a Mitchum film, this is a great one to start with. So I highly, highly, highly recommend it. I think I've established that at this point. Until next time, thanks.